going on YouTube? It's your girl Alana, aka Tech Girl Magic. We are going to be working on the solutions to the third maximum number leak code problem today. So if that's what you're looking for, you are in the right place. We're just gonna go ahead and jump right in. It says, given an integer array nums, return the third distinct maximum number in this array. If the third maximum does not exist, return the maximum number. And then we see we have our examples. So right off the bat, a couple things I want to call out here. One, it's very, very important that we pay attention to this third distinct maximum number in this array. And in particular, when I hear the word distinct, I'm always going to be thinking, okay, how can I make my life easier? What data structure, what tool can I use to make anything distinct? And I know that's a set. If you've been studying, you'll know that as well. If you're new and that doesn't come as easily, that's okay. That's why you're watching this video, is for practice, right? So whenever we see this distinct ever, we should always think to ourselves, okay, I'm probably going to need to use a set in this problem. All right, so that's the first thing. The second thing that I want to call out is that we have, in particular, a special edge case to consider. It says if the third maximum does not exist, return the maximum number. I, as much as possible, always like to take care of my edge cases as soon as I can within the problem. So when we get to the solution, we're gonna pay attention to that and how we're thinking about writing out the code. And then finally, we do want to just make sure we do a really good glance at the examples, because they're gonna just continue to reinforce the requirements of the problem. Here in this example, we have what I would consider to be our main case, our pretty standard case. We are given three numbers, and we're gonna get back one. That's the third maximum, right? For the second example, we see that we are actually hitting what we're gonna consider the edge case, right? So we only have two numbers in this case, and in this particular case, we're always going to return the maximum, just like we pointed out here. Finally, we have an edge case that, an example that conquers this whole distinct versus duplicate aspect, and the output should be one, just like as it was in our first example. Actually, these outputs are the exact same because we are trying to ignore duplicates. Right, so these examples are always really good to run through, and especially when you are in a interview and you're trying to come up with a solution to a problem on the fly. Getting familiar with the examples that Leetcode gives you is going to be really, really helpful to really help, like, kind of jog your brain, jog your memory in those situations where you're going to have to be writing your code with an interviewer, and you might have to come up with some examples yourself in order to write tests and prove to the interviewer that you know what you're talking about. You can write good, clean code, and you know what you're doing. All right, so we have that there. Our constraints tell us that we'll have at least one number in the array. We don't necessarily have to worry about this. This is kind of telling us that the numbers can be anywhere from negative infinity to positive infinity, pretty much. And finally, it says, can you find an O of n solution? So something that is crucial here. I think this is a pretty good call out, because in an interview setting, most likely they're also going to ask for this O of n solution. I think uh there's a sorted way that you can solve this problem. You can imagine sorting the numbers from highest to smallest, and just taking kind of the third index if it exists. For example, we're gonna walk through that in the code later on in this video. But what's really interesting and crucial about this kind of follow-up piece of information, if you get this in an interview, it's actually pretty helpful, right? Because if you are given that the solution is going to be O of n, then you can immediately block out any solutions that might have to do with sorting, because sorting is n log n. Okay, so typically when we sort, the fastest we can get is n log n, and we're looking for O of n here, which is going to be even faster than O of n log n. So that actually is giving us a pretty big hint here overall. So this is kind of how I kind of would take in this problem if I were studying and just wanted to pass on that good intuition for you to help you out in your study practice. And then from here, what I want to do is start working on our code. So the very first thing that we're gonna think about again is just what are some potential approaches here. And always when you're working on these problems, we got to think to ourselves, okay, how can I make my life easier? I'm given this input. I need to return some output. How can I, take this input and hack it, or sort it, or reverse it, or delete some numbers, or manipulate it in literally any way possible in order to make my life easier, in order to make this code magically appear off my fingertips and get this job that I'm trying to get. Okay, so in this particular case, coming back to distinct, we are going to say that we are going to use a set, because a set is automatically going to give us distinct values um, for for anything that we give it. We're always going to be working with distinct values, and we don't ever have to worry again about working with duplicates or whatever, returning the right answer given duplicates, ever. So let's go ahead and write that first. All right, so we have our set. We're gonna say um nums is gonna be a set, a set. Okay. um and if your interviewer says this is not okay for us to kind of overwrite this variable, then we could easily just create kind of this new variable n instead of nums. But in this case, we're going to say it's all right to overwrite this variable here with the set, because we're only returning an int. Okay, so but always make sure to double check with your interviewer, um, because they obviously have the final say. All right, moving on with our practice. So once we have established this set, this new playing field where we're only working with distinct numbers, let's tackle some edge cases and make sure that we are covering all of our bases. So the first edge case is going to be whether or not we are dealing with an input that is less than 3. Okay, that is the only time when a third maximum would not exist. If we were actually given input that had less than 3 distinct numbers. So let's check that out. Okay, great. So from here, we have established that we are working with unique numbers only. We have taken care of our edge cases up here. We're good. We should be good to go for that. And then now we can take care of our main case, which is to find that third maximum number. And to do this in O of n time, we can essentially ask ourselves the maximum 3 times. And to find the max, we are going to have to iterate through our set and find the maximum number. And we're going to touch all the numbers in our set, and that's going to be O of n. And if we do it 3 times, then technically that'll be O 3n, but it's still going to kind of what's the word? It's still going to simplify to O of n, and that is exactly what we're looking for. Okay, so this is just this is going to be some solution code. Your solution might look a little bit different, of course, but ultimately the idea is going to be to just keep pulling that maximum and removing it from nums, and kind of doing that over and over until we have asked for the maximum, and that third time we're going to return this. So again, taking that input, doing whatever the heck we want to it, throwing it in a set, removing the numbers, doing whatever we need to do in order to ultimately return the output that we are looking for. And that's the idea that we should have on this problem and every single problem that we tackle here. So let's go ahead and just double check to make sure that we are good to go. We're going to run this. Accepted. Accepted. Awesome. Okay, so this solution is going to be interview ready. And if it took you a little bit of time to get to this particular place, don't worry about it. Keep practicing. You got it. It sometimes it takes several repetitions for some of this stuff to click. And that's just the way it goes. We all got to go through it. That's just the way it goes. But you can do it. Okay, so the next thing that I want to actually do is just call out how to solve this problem in a sorted way. Again, the sorted way is not necessarily going to be interview ready, but I do just want to pop it up on the screen here to talk through it because I just think it's good to talk through. Okay, so this is a version of the problem that is using the sort. Again, this isn't allowed, but we're going to use it, and we see that still we're going to take care of our duplicate requirement or our distinct number requirement rather right off the bat. We're gonna then we're gonna take care of our edge cases to make sure that we're fully covered and we can just keep the rest of our code down here super simplified and addressing the main case. And then finally we've decided that we want to sort. We want to use a sort. We kind of take our list and convert our set and convert it back to a list using this list function, and then we sort the list. In particular, we're sorting it in reverse order, so we can have essentially the numbers going from highest to lowest, and then we'll take the second index from here, just because we're aware that our arrays are zero index, which means that the third number is going to be at the second index. It's a little confusing. I don't know why they did that in computer science, but they did, and now we're stuck with it forever and ever and ever. If we didn't have that hint, then this honestly would also be a valid solution. Let's go ahead and run it and just make sure that everything's looking good. It does look good. Thanks so much for practicing with me today. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and I will see you in the next one.